Hello! Welcome, everyone, to Fantaseries Book Club. Obviously, if you clicked on this video, you know that we're going to be discussing Jade City today, having a full cast and crew with us today. Nice, no? Nice.
What was that reveal, Mo? It was like, who do you think it is?
It was a slow transition. You know how they do in the effects.
Cool. Physical effects. We love to see it. As you guys can guess, we've got our Fantaseries hosts here as well as two guests, Monique from the Roomies Digest. Stephanie from Stephanie Books. So yeah, just a warning, if you haven't read Jade City and you don't want spoilers, please go away for now and come back when you've read the book. Other than that, we're going to get into discussing this wonderful, wonderful book by Fonda Lee.
I just got roasted.
So before we get started, I guess everybody can do a tiny little intro for themselves. We're the Roomies Digest. My name's Christine. That's Mo. Cool.
Cool. I'm Rachel. I'm from the channel Let Me in the Library.
I'm Jess. I'm the channel Books Past Bedtime. Hi.
Should it be me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Steph from Stephanie Bookish.
Hi, I'm Nicole from Bon Bon Reads.
Cool. And what did we all rate the book if we finished it? We just all hold it up at once.
I will put up a shrug because I have not finished it yet.
You'll get there. You'll get there, Nicole Lee. I love that Jess gave it a 2.
Give it a 2.5.
We have a little bit of discord, which is great. That's why we read these kind of books. So love to see it. If you guys are here in the chat, like, let us know what you rated it. If you rated it high, why'd you rate it high? If you rated it low, why'd you go low? And just want to say hello really quick. So I haven't finished the book, but hoping this live show wants me to. LOL. Yes. You're not alone. You know what I mean? Jess, a 2, all of us. That's what all of us said.
I'm a
To be fair, I actually, while this is one of my favorite series of all time, I understand when people give it low ratings because you have to be a specific type of reader for this book, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a me thing.
Well, I love to hear that.
It was almost a me thing too, but
Wait, what did you rate it, Monique? I missed your rating.
it was a 5. Technically,
Okay.
it's like a 4.
Wait, what? It was
No.
It was almost me, except I gave it 5 stars.
It was like me with Ninth House. Like if I
Had quit.
if I had quit, I would have been like, "Don't read it ever."
And then don't read it ever.
But I pushed through, and I was like, "Okay, wait, this has something."
This
And I
book
kept
has
going.
merit.
Yeah, I was like, "Wait a minute, wait
You know?
a minute."
It's won awards, okay, for a reason. Okay, so hello, how's it going? We'll get into thoughts in just a second. We have 4.5. The whole series broke me. Wow. I'm hoping it's not like my experience with Poppy War because meow.
I was gonna say, I hope this is like, I hope
Hope
it
it's the
actually.
opposite of Poppy War. It just goes up.
It just
Yeah.
keeps going up. Hopefully, especially for you, Jess.
Yeah, hopefully, especially for me.
She's like 2.25 or Jade War. It goes down by a
It's
percent.
going down by like 0.25.
Oh, no.
No, I feel like so many people rate Jade War 5 stars, and then when they go back and they reread the series, and they're like, "Oh, I love Jade City now more than the first time."
Like no.
Well,
That's like
I think that
not
comes from,
me, but I've heard that before. Yeah.
yeah, I've read the whole series, and I think that comes from a place of, again, what kind of reader you are, right? Because the first book is very like insular, and it's all about K-Con. And then the next 2 books, it starts to get bigger. And then the third book, it's like worldwide. So you're learning about politics in the world, like at large. So if you love learning about worlds, like worlds that authors have created and the system and like politics, then you tend to like the next books even more. So
Yeah.
Okay.
And you see that a little bit at the end of the book when Wynn kind of like goes off and does
yeah.
her thing with the experience. But we'll get into that.
Experience.
Yeah, isn't that the name?
Yeah.
When, yeah.
Yeah, of the Western countries. Anyway, espions, like espionage. I think it's
Oh,
There's an
Espenia?
audiobook and it is.
Is it
It's
Esperian?
Espenia.
Espenian. Okay.
I feel like Hesperians maybe is Poppy
Yeah,
War.
that was the Poppy War.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting them confused, and I made a note about the like base of that word because I was like, "What is this word? It sounds too familiar to like not be from something," and it actually means like Western. It was like a reference to Greek mythology, and it was referencing like Western people. So that was interesting. But anyway, it was 3 stars for me. I didn't continue on. The next 2 books were high 5s, and now I'm obsessed. True, Steph. Yes. I'm hoping that's how we all feel at the end, honestly. High 5. Haven't picked it up yet, just here for support and the bookish tea. Okay. Love to see it. You like to see if you will like it before you pick it up. 100% agree. I love political, character-focused, generational stories, so Jade War was my jam. Yeah, this was a good mix of everything for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for people who are plot driven versus character driven, usually there's a big divide between if you really, really enjoy a book or not. And I find in books usually I'm more plot driven, although I obviously would like to see a character developed. And I think you'll probably see more of the character journey throughout the whole series, but plot wise, I feel like there was still plenty to bring me through because there's so much happening. But you also kind of see these characters in little glimpses of maybe ways that they'll become a little bit more fully fleshed out throughout the rest of the series here. And that was what helped me out to at least appreciate, like, who are these characters? Where might they go in the future? But also, there's so much going on. So plot-driven wise, it's definitely scratching that itch.
Yeah, it was very good. Very good. And I think, like, not to bring it back to the Poppy War again, but I think it's kind of a similar writing style in a way where, like, she's, like, mentioning things and then it comes back to that mention, so everything makes sense with the plot. Because, you know, she would kind of have, like, these descriptors where she would be talking about, like, Doru, and it would almost be like you already kind of knew he was a little sus, but, like, you just didn't know what was going to happen. And then, of course, like, later on, it comes back full circle. And I found that was really, like, helpful when we were reading the Poppy War, too, because it made the plot, like, more solid to me. Yeah. It's like the difference between when you get to the plot twist at the end of another book and you're just kind of like, wait, where did that come from? You know?
Oh, yeah, no, there's definitely seeds planted. And also, like, we get the satisfaction, quote unquote, of seeing that Doru is a piece of shit pretty early on before things happen with his character, where you're like, okay, I've already introduced someone who's clearly bad, but also not really the antagonist.
Right.
So it's sort of like this full range of, you know, morally gray stretch of different characters that we're looking at here.
Right. Yeah, it was very interesting.
I just need to know who's a Hilo stan here and who's not.
You are.
I hate him.
Me? I'm not a Hilo stan.
No.
What does a Hilo stand entail? Because I did find myself.
I aligned with
for
him.
You're the wrong person.
I hated how
said-
he treated Wynn. I thought he was very misogynistic, and it made me so mad.
No, wait, sorry.
For sure.
I don't know why I thought you meant Lon for some reason.
Oh, Lon is.
Everybody's a lot fan.
No, Hilo for me, for my journey with Hilo is I did not like Hilo in the beginning. I was like, he's kind of fun, like he can be funny and you can tell he's the bad boy character, but he like really annoyed me. And then even in the second book, I was like, I don't know. But then the third book, like I'm not saying he's good or bad either way. I just really liked his arc in the third book, and I was like, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna say I'm a Hilo stan then.
Okay.
Because I was like, not me being like a little not proud, but like I was like, wait a minute, why did all of a sudden? I was like, I'm trying to understand like how he has changed so much in like the second half. Like it was like not a completely different character, but I was like, maybe it's because we saw it from like the older brother's point of view more, so like he like looked down at him differently. I was just like, because he just seemed so not responsible. And then we get like his older sister's POV, and I'm like, wait a second, or like his like minions, I forget everyone's names, but I'm like,
Shit.
wait a second, he might be good at his job. You guys know I love some work ethic. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point, is the POV. So, like, in the beginning of the book, obviously, we've got a lot of Vaughn in there, and his point of view is almost like what he's hearing from other people, too, about his brother. Like, he's appointed Hilo as the Horn because he trusts him and their blood, and, you know, he knows he's good at that job. But, like, his opinion of him is he's a hothead, you know? He's, like, more brawn than brains, and, like, I think that's even something Hilo says about himself later on, but I do think a lot of that kind of like view that we see of him is from that POV. As when we're more into Hilo's perspective in the later half of the book. It's like, okay, he might be a hothead, but like honestly, if you killed my brother, I might be acting like that too. So just things that I'm thinking about.
Just girly things.
Yeah, just girly things, you know. but yeah. So speaking of like characters, who are your favorite characters? Like, who was your favorite character from the book?
You're talking to me?
Anybody?
Yeah, I liked everyone's pretty equally footed. I liked Shay.
I like Andon.
I
think.
cool.
Yeah, I like Shane, Andon, and Wen.
I like Hilo too. I like Lan. I mean, everyone's pretty even. I don't have any.
I think Andon and Shay are a little bit higher for me. Wen, I do not trust. Stay away from me with the 30-foot pole. I do not trust her at all. This is like another like Kite moment where I'm like, something's gonna happen in the next book. I don't trust. Might be totally wrong. I just don't trust. Do you read part of Jade Warren? Is this why you're making this face?
Me?
Who, me? No.
Because you're just like.
No, I like kind of agree with you because I don't know. I think in the writing, from what I was getting, she kept saying, like, as the author, Fonda Lee, like she kept saying like, oh yeah, like, you know, stone eyes, nobody trusts them, you know, they can't do anything, like they're so weak and blah blah blah. And then Wen is obviously trying to prove herself, and she's in here like, look, I'm not with you for your money, Hilo, like, even though you're besties with my brothers, I kind of like you for yourself, you idiot. Right. So
I feel like she has to, like, there's a reason Wen is a stone eye. Like, there's a reason that she was written to be a stone eye, and now is like basically like married to the head of this clan. Like, that's not going to end well, whatever that is.
Well, and just kind of seeing her interactions with Hilo, for me, like Hilo's very like loving and very like affectionate, almost not almost, but he is very affectionate
with her, yeah.
With her, but also there's like a side of like control that he needs from the relationship, and like Wen as a person, I don't think likes that. I don't think she like wants to be that way, and we can see that later on when she like comes through to like kind of not backstab him, but like go around, you know, around.
I mean, I just feel like she's been playing her part. Like, this is not even in the book, but like this is just the impression I'm getting from Fonda Lee, that like she's playing her part until the time is right. But I feel like she asked for like, oh, let me go on this mission and like do more for you than just like stay behind the scenes and work here in this one tiny little office position that you want me to be in as like basically secretarial duties, when I could go out and provide more service for the clan. I don't know, I feel like she was doing like a lot of that on purpose, as almost like a tiny like manipulation of things to get things into place. I don't know what her plan is and like who she's working for. Like, I don't know that, but that's...
Well, I mean, that and like her position as the White Rat is because her brother killed the old one. So it's like, okay, that's
like things are really falling into place here in a very specific way that lead me to think this is one of those breadcrumbs that Fonda Lee placed for something to happen later.
Well, and it is like in her character, like she is a little bit manipulative because she's not being like 100% with her fiance/husband. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how Wen goes, but yeah.
When she first was introduced, I was like, I don't trust her, but I just let the pieces fall. So we'll see.
It's the fact that she was licking those jade nipples. I was like, no, I don't trust you at all. No.
Yeah, because she like wanted to be around it, but I don't know. It might just be because she like I don't know if we know enough about her to like know. But
I'll wait for the betrayal to happen, and then I'm gonna spin this whole thing about like, oh, it was the proximity to Jade, and by putting your mouth on it is like the actual need and hunger for power. That's what that actually was all along.
I
Just
didn't
wait.
realize.
Calling it
I didn't realize how hard it would be to do this live show, knowing everything about every character, and like.
You just have to like turn your screen off every time.
I know. I'm like, maybe I just shouldn't be here.
you can only come to the last one where everything is being revealed.
Oh my god.
Oh, we can say this.
I was just laughing because Steph basically harassed me to read it. Kidding. She pushed me to read it and I loved it. So I love to hear it. What were you gonna say?
Now, I'm sure you already answered it, but I just want to see if everyone agrees.
Okay.
But like it said 4 siblings on the back of the book.
Andon is the 4th sibling.
Oh, okay.
Andon?
Are we sure?
I was wondering that too, Mo.
Okay. I was just like, why? I mean,
Is he not? Did I miss something?
I mean, I know what happened at the end, and I see like how they treat him. But like, I was like, is this really the?
Wait, I think my copy doesn't say that. What's the quote?
Oh, and it just says, "Now the war is over. 4 siblings of the powerful Call family must prepare for battle and fragile peace."
Yeah, mine says that too.
Than mine.
Mine says that too. So
your adopted brother.
Okay, that's what I agree with Christy, but I was like, I'm really sure because you really kept saying he was a cousin, so I was
that's what I was
thrown in.
But I think that comes from a place of like just Andon as a character in general is very insecure about his place in the family, and like as we know, like what happens when he does have Jade and why he's so scared of it. So I think that he kind of sets himself apart from the family because as much as like Hilo especially tries to bring him in, he has this insecurity about what his duty is supposed to be to this family and what he can and can't do.
That makes more sense.
Right.
Because I was like, what is this? Is this going to be a plot twist? I was like, I feel like they should have introduced this for
it would have come out by the end. Was my favorite, the end of Jade City. Andon is my baby. Yeah, I mean, like, let's talk about Andon. So, queer character. And I love to see it. I didn't even know I was reading another book for Pride, but here we go. And he's incredibly powerful, but he's of mixed blood. He's not really accepted by, his peers.
The majority is like his peers, yeah.
Yeah, like they're like, all right, he's here, and we're not gonna like blatantly,
in his face, like make fun of him because he's still connected, but
his mom is still the crazy witch of the West. You know what I mean? So, so yeah, he's a very interesting character. And then like spoilers, I already said this, but
y'all mute.
But yeah, wait, how far are you, Nicole?
I'm like 150 pages in. It's okay. I've mentally accepted that I'm just gonna know. I'm gonna read it anyways.
Okay, should I just say it?
Yeah, go for it.
Are you positive?
I'm positive.
Close your ears, just go like la 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 la.
I'll hold a little bit of a grudge. I'm just kidding.
I will hold a grudge. Okay, well, not plot twist, spoiler alert, at the end of the book, when Andon graduates, obviously he tells them that he's not going to be a Jade warrior. So
like he's not going to fight for the clan.
Yeah, he's not going to fight for the clan. The clan who's like given him everything and taken him in and protected him, cared for him, blah, 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 blah. So let's talk about that, because when I read that, I was like, okay, he's not going to be a bone warrior because he got scared at the fight. And now I'm thinking that the mountain's just going to kill him. And it's worrying.
I don't think
I don't think it's going to happen at all.
I think he's going to go back to the family after self-reflection. It may be a book. It may be half a book.
He writes a book of like
I thought you meant like
mountains.
Well, if Hilo would just not be an asshole, It would all be fine because
It's
Andon
like
is just setting
overreacting.
boundaries, a self-care king. Like he knows what he needs to do to keep himself safe and sane.
Yeah.
I respect him for that. I love him for that, and Hilo sucks.
So that's the thing. That's
He
the
was just
whole.
hurt because he thought they were
needs-
all on the same page.
Yes, he
their whole
just-
Yeah, but
thing.
he's a grudge holder.
Oh.
He still hasn't forgiven Shay.
Yeah, that's the thing though.
okay,
Is that like
he's a hothead, okay?
I
That's the
know.
problem.
It's a character
My
flaw.
lord.
I cannot like him for it though. It's okay.
right? Like I mean, I think Hilo's character is interesting because he is, like Jess said, a grudge holder. He holds grudges because he thinks that the people that are in his family, that are in his proximity, that he's let in, like all the things that he's done for them, he says it's from a place of love, which I believe, but he thinks he deserves that back. And he doesn't recognize that for Andon's character, like him carrying Jade could potentially make him go crazy. And so he's trying to take care of himself. And Hilo's like, I've done everything for you. And it's like, dude, shut up. Like, if you want him to be part of your family, find something else for him then. Like, it's not, he doesn't have to be a war. I don't know. It pissed me off in that book because Andon really is just, he wants to be a part of the family. He already feels insecure about his position in the family because of his, like when his proximity to Jade makes him feel certain types of ways. And Hilo's just like, well, that's that, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I don't think Hilo like has the empathy to understand Andon's point of view too, because he just thinks that Andon's just being silly and like he just feels this, like Hilo's like, well, that's just something you have to deal with. But I feel like in Andon's situation it is different, and the fact that Hilo doesn't recognize that.
I totally agree with that. I feel like it's almost like a misunderstanding of mental health where it's like, well, just cheer up. Like, come on, just deal with it. Like, everybody has to deal with this. And it's like, you don't understand that if I touch Jade, like, I don't know what's going to happen to me because it's not the same. It's a literal like, reaction.
It's like, everybody feels sad sometimes. But
where it's like, yeah,
but depression, that's a big difference. And sometimes people don't recognize that. It is very similar.
Right.
Yes. But Hilo has that character arc later on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Hilo just exploded at the end, and I almost kind of felt like it was a way to end the book with a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Where he was like, "You're out of this family." Like,
yeah, I never want to see you again.
I was like, you can literally just talk about this over some shawarma or something like shawarma. Like, there's no reason you need to be
Avengers.
There's no reason you need to be acting this way. But as far like what you were saying of like, oh, I think he's gonna come back to the family. I think that the Mountain's gonna try to recruit him to work against the family.
Yeah.
Because he's so powerful. And it's the classic story of like you kind of like run away from this family because you're misunderstood, and somebody who claims to understand you, although is really just aiming to use you, takes you in, makes you feel wanted, makes you feel appreciated, and then you feel loyalty to them. But then there's the clash of like the family versus that loyalty that's been built, which I feel like would be really, really fun to see, but also tragic to see in book 2 if that's what happens.
I think you're exactly right. Like if I could have wrote the book, that's what I would have done.
I'm looking at stuff for like clues, like
No, I'm not even. This isn't spoilery. I'm just curious because of your thought process. So you're saying that like the Mountain would recruit him because he's powerful, but he doesn't use Jade. So what would make him change his mind to use Jade for the Mountain versus?
I wonder if they have.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too.
Well, I was gonna say like I wonder if they have a way of like, because I don't think it would be out of actual honesty with him. But I think like they would take him in and either coax him into feeling more comfortable with using it, or they would just basically use him as like a hostage against the family. Or if like, I mean, also think about like the way that they were handling stuff with Lon, because when they were like, oh, you just got to keep wearing all the jade of your slain enemies. I was like, that sounds crazy. I feel like that would be very bad eventually, because like that's just that much more that you have to deal with. And I originally thought that it was going to be like they're just going to make him fight so many people and he has to wear so much jade, and then there's something wrong with the jade itself that would like make him like just not be able to handle the power, or would like poison him or whatever. We found out that's not quite exactly what happened, but I figured if they could influence somebody like Lon with that, and then they had this whole plan to think everything through, they would not leave this. I mean, regardless of that, they wouldn't leave this opportunity open if they found out that Andon ran away or was kicked out of the family, to just be like, yep, that has nothing to do with this. I'm sure they would be like, let's do something about this.
Yes.
Speaking of that, somebody had mentioned in the comments that Barrow is their favorite.
I know.
Where? Oh, thank you.
That cockroach.
The indignation.
Interesting.
I don't know if this is
So funny.
because of the whole series or first book. I wouldn't say Barrow's like my favorite by any means, but I feel like it's really interesting where his character is going because of the end of the book. Which
this is one of the examples of when like Fonda Lee writes in the beginning, and she like basically is saying, "Yeah, we should kill them now." And then it's like, just let him kid, whatever. And then full circle moment obviously comes back and like does what he does at the end of the book.
Yeah.
And then in the very last page,
And I
in
was
the epilogue.
Exactly. I was waiting for somebody to do that because as soon as that happened at the beginning, I was like, so who's, it's just sitting there.
Right.
It's just
like
nobody's
who's guarding
get that.
it?
Oh, and like that's not even a thing. Like you just leave.
Well, and the thing is, like, obviously the Greenbone like warriors are not gonna go and like grave dig or whatever. But like this man is a cockroach. Okay, he survives everything. He's used to surviving, like obviously. So like what he's gotten a taste of Jade, so he's not gonna stop, especially when he's like, oh, I'm gonna get some and I'm gonna be a warrior and it's my right because of what I did.
It's my right.
Yeah, and I'm like, sweetie, if you show up between the No Peaks or the mountain, like I'm gonna tell you, you'll be dead on arrival, and that's the gospel truth.
But he also has just inherited all of this. I forgot what it's called. Shine,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the drug SN1.
So I mean, if he's inherited all of this, and then he can kind of,
figure out a way to use it.
Well, because a lot of the different like places of business that were protected by No Peak had to switch loyalties because the mountain was taking over, and I think there were also a lot of like restaurants and businesses that just kind of were split between this loyalty and feel like neither one is protecting them, and it's just they're caught in the middle of this turf war. So having a third party approach with other power, because they have this sort of like drug cartel that they can run as well, poses another third party of potential following. And I feel like as far as like the street rats type of characters that don't really fall into either category, and then also just the people who are feeling disgruntled between that riot war, whatever it is, might potentially fall into Barrow's category in book 2. So I think he poses I wouldn't say like a truly formidable leadership, because I don't think he would be anything compared to the other two forces, but I think it would create problems for both No Peak and the Mountain to have Barrow and his little band of folks running around, especially with all of this shine, because that's not good.
Well, and it's in the way that he moves too, right? Because obviously the two clans are going to be out in the open, like fighting these, like, what was it, clean blade executions and like things that have like a lot of honor and like rules and things like that. Barrow, like literally, they told the man to go shoot at a building, and he went above and beyond. You know what I'm saying? Like he did too much. So it's like there are no rules with him. Like he doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, he's over there putting his hand on the grave. Like, any normal, sane human would be like, yeah, I'm not going to dig this up.
Right.
But he's like, I'm going to do it.
I am going to dig this up.
Yeah. Because I'm Barrow, Barrow the cockroach. Anyway, so yeah, he's a very interesting character. Hilo fan? I'm only halfway through, but I love Hilo's character. Yeah, same. He's a hothead. He's got stuff to work on, but I feel like this kind of character is exactly who I like because they have a nice character arc throughout the series.
I'm curious, Nicole, since you're only a small percentage in compared to, I don't want to like keep talking about stuff and like not be able to include you in this conversation. So I mean, character-wise, how are you feeling about the different characters at the point in the story where you are?
Well, definitely the first 100 pages were really confusing because I was like learning all the names and all the places. So I had to keep like a notebook open with just writing down everything. But right now I'm definitely enjoying all of the characters. I don't like Barrow from my experience with him, and I like everyone else pretty much. I feel very different, I think, in this book so far than how I felt with the Poppy Wars. Like, I think they're more like relatable characters in a way. I don't know. They're not so polarizing so far, but
Right.
Yeah, it's weird because in the very beginning, like the first scene we see with Barrow and what's his face, the other guy, that was a really good scene. That was a really, really good scene. Like I could see that directed like straight to film as it was being described. Of like this whole showdown happening and having to kind of do this like miniature sort of heist thing and then seeing it all play out and then sort of go wrong. I was like, wow, this is really good. But it's so different from the Poppy War as well. I mean, character-wise, you have a very vast array of characters that you're following at the same time. There isn't really one main protagonist, and it's very different in terms of the story of like an underdog going to school to fight a war versus a war has broken out between clans, and how do we grapple with what's happening there? Because, you know, when the head of a family dies, and then you have to deal with the fact there is history between the two clans, there's a sense of honor, there's a sense of gaining territory while also putting on the external face of like, no, this is just where we're meant to be, and like all those little politics that happen in between. So it's like two very different brands of writing in this sort of like fantasy, like this is more like I guess urban fantasy, whatnot type of stuff.
Yeah, they have airplanes up in here, you know, sweatpants, t-shirts. I was like, okay,
yeah,
all right, let's
they
hit
got
it.
motorcycles. I mean,
Yeah.
they're living the
killing
dream.
it. And I do agree, like it did seem like when you start a movie and it's like that beginning scene that's kind of like setting the tone of the show or like the tone of the movie or whatever. I definitely was like, are these the two main people?
That's what I thought too. I was like, okay, I think Barrow's cool. And then as it kept going, I was like, all right, never mind.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's definitely an interesting character. Yeah, I think across the board we all like him.
And who is Emery again?
Isn't it Andon?
Yeah. He's got like 9 names.
Yeah, well that's his last name, Emery. Or his family name. His family name. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, it does make sense that he doesn't want to be a fighter. I mean, yeah, as we said, mental health. Also, that whole thing that happened with him was really scary.
Yeah.
Like getting that fight, he ended up in the hospital and he was there for 5 days, knocked out. So
yeah, and it wasn't just him, but like several other people were also in the hospital. And I feel like he feels more personally responsible because of his actions. That like not only when I touch this thing, I'm out of control, but also I could hurt the people I love.
Right.
So why would I put myself in that position to do that when I'm not? I'm like well equipped in the sense that I'm very good at it, but there's so many unintended consequences that I can't control that it's not worth it.
Right. It's essentially what he said to Hilo, like, I'm a weapon and like I don't have control over it all the time. And there was a split second where he thought Hilo was dead. Like, you know how scary that is?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So
after everything that already happened, I don't know if we want to talk about that because that's like a big plot twist in the book, and I know Nicole, it's I don't want to like
go ahead. No, it's okay.
Nicole's like, I'm gonna finish it, guys. This is just like the notes.
No, it's just that this moment in the book like really is what solidified that. I was like, wow, Fonda Lee gives no shits about my feelings.
I think we know what you're talking about without saying it.
Yeah, everything with Lon.
Yeah, like, that was a shocker.
And what a tragic, like, that's one of the situations where you think he's gonna be back in like a chapter or two, and then literally it's like the funeral. And you're like, oh. F.
Nicole!
Oh no, I love him so far.
Yeah. Lan he's great. He's great. And I love that he's so far away from them in age, like almost 10 years, because he is more
he's
of
like really that father figure for everybody.
Well, especially because their father wasn't really a father to them. And I just like the dynamics because I do think that Shay, the core siblings, even Andon, but like Shay Lon and Hilo have drastically different personalities. So you get something very different from each one of them, but like they kind of don't work without each other, right? Because they all bring something to the table that makes this family work. And I think that's why like the loss of him is such an interesting plot point, because it really changes, like Shay's trajectory completely changes. And Hilo, like going from having this almost hot shot lifestyle where he is kind of like he didn't have that much responsibility, and it was sort of low stakes for him and he can just kick people's ass and move on with his day. It's different now. Like everything has consequences for him because he has so much more responsibility.
And that's the thing, is like you actually, not just like character arc, you see him be different, but I mean like you actually see a physical toll on his body and the way that his language changes, and in the dialogue with the kids, like closer towards the end of the book, but like Andon's classmates and stuff, he goes up and talks to them and he's like, okay, I know exactly what to say to Andon's classmate because his father works here and he feels that he's being undermined because his dad doesn't appreciate it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say to play the game and get him kind of on our side. So like he has to play those mind games now, whereas you kind of know from the beginning of the book he would have been like, hey, stop fucking with my brother. Like it wouldn't have just been, you know, as thought out. It would have just been a straight shot. But you also see like now he has kind of streaks of gray in his hair and he has like wrinkles under his eyes, and like he suddenly is, it almost looks like he's aged so much in just a few, I think, months at that point it was. But it took that, you know, pretty significant toll on his body to suddenly look so different because he's taking on the toll of responsibility to not only head this family, but heading the responsibility of clans that go out and fight and kill people and protect territory is not something that you inherit overnight and are fine with without any type of training. And Hilo was never expecting to have to work like that. He was expecting to just stay as the horn of the family for many, many years. So suddenly being there is like, oh no. But he very silently like took on that role without making a big deal about like, now I have to do this and that, I have to change my behavior, I have to change. But he just quickly like donned that role and stuck with it, which I think is so interesting. But then also seeing Shay come in back into the picture at that sort of like tenuous moment, and then how she fits into things, I think is also super interesting, because I really like Shay. I like all of her scenes. I loved like seeing her go out to that site where they were mining for Jade and trying to see like, you know, what is the deal? Why are the numbers not quite matching here? That was another scene that I feel like I could see it unfolding, like this beautiful lush landscape and going in and people, and like a moment of her like almost putting a palm on this gigantic thing of Jade. You could like see it zoom in. There's like a bit of a hum. You guys know Hollywood, you know, right? But like it gets close, and then she's like back in the office, like, oh, let me look at all these numbers. And I was just like, wow, this is like, first of all, fantastic writing, like really, really good. But I feel like all the stuff with her is just more interesting to me. Like she is more investigative, and she kind of has not like manipulations, but she has just more intelligence in a way that it makes sense for her to be closer to this head of the family than estranged from it, even though that wasn't the position she was in for so long.
Yeah. And I think what you said too about Hilo having to be more politically minded was really interesting to see, because like I said before, he was very like, I'm a hotshot and I kick everybody's ass and that's just what I do and I don't have to worry about anything. And then to be thrust into like, oh, I have to know how to navigate not only my peers, but like their children and their children's children, because if I say the wrong thing to this person, then this can start a clan war. And like, it was really interesting how his thinking really, really changed. But even Shay's thinking, because she didn't want to be back in the family in that way. And like she gave up so much already in the beginning of the story that you don't really know that much about, that you start to learn about, to then also have to lose her brother and then give up even more of what her future could have been that she was like working towards, because she wanted to support her family in that moment. And I really love Shay's character, and I like her character arc.
I think Shay is really interesting. And like going back to what you said, like what she gave up, like what she could have been. Like I think as much as I want to think that she would have gone off and had a normal job, like, I think she honestly did not have the heart to do it. Like, I think when she left with her boyfriend, like, she was just kind of like trying to figure herself out, and she thought she was in love, and so she went with him, and it was almost kind of like a I'm gonna do what I want to do thing because I like can, and like I don't have to listen to the family. But I think just in her kind of like coming back to Janloon and being there and meeting with her brothers, and then when her brothers were like, okay, you know, that's all we need from you, like you can go, and then her having these feelings of like, but wait, I want to know what's going on. Or like when Andon gets captured and you know, by the mountain, and she's like, wait, I had no idea that he was captured, like why didn't anyone tell me? And they were like, you told us you didn't want to be involved, so like we're not going to involve you past like a certain point. I think.
But I think it's so hard to be in that position because it's like I don't want to be involved in like. Oh, sorry. I think there was a glitch. I didn't realize you were talking still. My bad.
Oh no, what'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying I think it's really tough from the position of like I don't want to be involved in the family business, but it doesn't mean I don't want to know what's happening with my family.
Right. But that's the
like,
thing. It's like with this family, like there's not really a separation, right? Because the family is the clan. Like that's their whole thing. And I think that's something she had to realize because she didn't want to be a green bone warrior. And it's like, yeah, a lot of like being an adult is low-key doing things that you don't want to do. And I think it's something she just kind of had to realize about herself.
Yeah.
And like, is she going to be like the happiest weatherman ever? Like, I don't know, but is she going to be good at her job? Yes, because she was the top of her class and she knows how to look at these numbers and be like, okay, here's a discrepancy. And she is loyal to her family. And she is actually a really good warrior, you know, put some jade on, girl, you got it. So I liked her whole character arc just in this book specifically because she had to go through all of these things and you can see that.
I mean, I feel like out of all the other characters, I can't see anybody else functionally as a weatherman as effective as Shay.
Yeah.
Like where it stands right now.
Yeah, like even Doru, like ew.
Right. I mean, like even like if the morals aside, like I feel like he was okay as a weatherman, but like not great. Like, because he was just, he had so much loyalty to the head of the family that he was just saying whatever he wanted to hear. It wasn't really like there was no, there was too much rigidity. Like, there was no sense of like, let me actually get all of this information and maybe change the way things work. But because of the way, I forgot his name, but the father and stuff of the family actually worked, they were just like, these are the suggestions I'm going to give to continue out the father's will.
Right. And and he reveals that.
Well, like, what about everything else? And it's like, nope, only this. So it's like, well, then that's being a terrible weatherman. You're just, you know, you're
no respect. He has no respect for Lon or Hilo. So he would never have been a good weatherman because he was only loyal to their dad.
Yeah.
Well, and even in that way, he still was controlling the granddad. You know what I mean? Like, he still said, I made decisions without having to know what he needed from me. And like, to me, for somebody to say that to me, I'm like, did you though? Or did you actually just make decisions that you thought were good for you and the country? You know what I mean? Because you were like slowly declining in power and like slowly getting older and like all of this stuff. So, I mean, for me, like the pillar is the one who makes the decisions. And I think that's said somewhere in the book. But like the pillar makes the decision. It's the job of the weatherman to give the information, and it's the job of the horn to enforce it. So I mean, it's like a triad of power, but really the pillar's at the top. And obviously Doru lost that along the way. So
before we get too far, I wanted to say something about what's her name, Shay, because it was interesting. I don't even know how we brought it up, but like she pretty much gave the same advice to Aiden, you know? So
to like go on his own way and live his own life.
Yeah, so it's like interesting what you were saying because you were like, you know, she knows that there's not, you know, she needs to be a part of the family. So I'm just like, I wonder how that is going.
Yeah, she said that. I think she said that before Lan had gone past whatever. But she kind of like gave that advice without even knowing, because in that moment Andon is trying to tell her about the shine.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's still, advice that, well, I won't say, but
well, I thought also near the end, didn't she also say something similar to Andon, where it's like Hilo's always gonna have this like very hot-headed response or whatever, but like I also know you as a person. I know you very well, and I know this isn't where you're happy. I don't remember her exact quote, but it was something along those lines, and that was like before that big fight broke out, where Andon was like, "Let me go put some Jade on." So I feel like it was like a call back to that moment where it was like, yes, Shay has been, on Andon's side this whole time, and then that after this moment where he puts the Jade on, things are not going to be quite the same. But from that sentiment that still carries over, Shay would still, be aligned with him, but now she has this loyalty to the family and to still stay by the pillar side, that she's not really going to outwardly be like, bye, Hilo, I have to go take care of Andon. But it's like, well, I'm here. I have to be here now as this member of this clan, staying as the weatherman here. But if you can get out and live your own life, then that's still something she supports, I would think. And I mean, I think that's still why Shay is interested. She is smart, but she also still has the empathy, even when it's not related to like the family business. But it's just like, but you're still like empathetic. You still care about these other people.
I think like that, or even just like finding another job for Andon where he doesn't have to be maybe like a green bone warrior, but like he can still be like a part of the family. I think that would be an interesting way to go about it.
That's what I want for him, but I feel like it would also just lead to so much talking from people in lower ranks of like, why is he taking this safe position when we all have to be out there when everybody knows he's such a good fighter?
Right.
So then it might even cause tension between everybody below. I forgot again what the position's called. The people who work for the claws. Is it the claws? The fingers? Fists?
Which
fist?
Yeah.
The fists control the fingers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where Andon goes, because the world is his oyster right now at the end of this book. So we'll see. I'm late because I was getting drunk at brunch. 4 stars for me. And Hilo's Primacy. Love to hear it.
This is my full review.
Yeah, this is my full review. I'm 50% into Jade War, and so far I can see why people love so much this trilogy. The plot isn't that exciting to me, but I have to say that I like it better than the Poppy War trilogy. Yeah, I was finding some parallels between this book and Poppy War, just in like the All Nations War, and obviously the like Western people who are trying to come in and like make themselves known on Janloon, and they want to like produce, instead of Poppy, it's Shine, and distribute it amongst not themselves, but like a whole nother like country, the Yangloon, Yugatons, whatever their names are.
Yugaton.
Anyway, yeah, saw some parallels there. Love hearing your thoughts. When I finish a book, I need to hear what they thought about it. You with me? Yeah. Honestly,
I think it's funny too, because Fonda Lee has like explicitly said all over Twitter and different interviews that a lot of people, especially because she's Chinese, and this is like, obviously there are some traditional Chinese aspects to this book, she hasn't based it off of anything. I mean, she's talked about having inspiration from things just because of how her life is and whatever, but like it's not actually based, how the Poppy War is based on the Opium Wars, like it's not actually based on anything.
Right. Yeah, like I wasn't reading it being like, oh yeah, this was World War One.
No, I just think it's cool that she didn't, because like I feel like a lot of fantasy books are inspired from something, and you see that in interviews. And I assumed that maybe she did inspire it from something, but then I was reading some interviews from her where she's like, yeah, a lot of people just assume that I was inspired by this, that, or the other thing, but really I wasn't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think she has said that she was inspired in terms of like vibes of like old Hong Kong gangster movies.
Yeah.
But I don't know any plots of any of them to say like it's the same. Like I don't.
Yeah, I only knew that the like the vibe of the book, she wanted it to be a Hong Kong gangster movie, but I just more so meant like, you know, how the Poppy War is based off the
Yeah, it's not like a historical event that is repurposed into a fantasy book.
Yeah.
I love that vibe. I think that's why I'm scared for it to get adapted because I don't know.
So
but
it be
would
a movie
be cool.
Or a TV show?
Yeah.
Which one is it? TV show?
I would say a TV show. If
it was in the back of the book.
If I had to say
it's a TV show.
Just because there's so much, and like, I mean, even with like a YA book like Shadow and Bone, like there was so much to like, you know, get people into. So, and this is obviously adult fantasy, so I would assume it would be a TV show because you would just have to have more time.
I feel like it would make such a good TV show because there's so much to work with, yes, but also like there's so many moments in here that I want to see, and I feel like it would get cut in the movie.
Yeah, I feel like the trend now too is to make a TV show over a movie for adaptations. Like I feel like all the adaptations that have come out recently have been shows versus movies.
Yeah, even if it's like a limited series or something, it's just time. But I think that it's out on Peacock, so if anybody was wondering. Also, hello, Sydney. How's it going?
Hi, Sydney.
She's at work.
She's at work, so she can't stay, but just want to pop in and say hi, low five ever. I love supremacy. I love to see it. Yeah, cool. I think the only other person I kind of wanted to talk about is, and this is kind of a sad character, but it's the grandpa, the granddad. He sees a lot of his son in Lon, and he hates Hilo because he thinks he's a bastard. And Shay, who was his favorite, went off, you know, with a foreigner and left him. So she's, you know, he calls her all those horrible names. And it's really interesting in this book that we don't get to see him kind of like fall from power. Like he's already kind of stepped down and just goes at a steady decline for the rest of the book. But yeah, like what, if anything, do you guys have anything to say about him? About the grand leader?
I feel like he was very like kind of like a stand-in for like your old relative who is mad about the world and the way things are going, and you just can never have their approval. He annoyed me a lot. I'm like, dude, just chill out.
He was.
I do think you make a good point though that he's a stand-in, but it could also, like, sometimes the way that I thought about it was that he's the how would you say it, like he's showing you the differences between the generations and how they're going to rule and like how they take care of each other, especially because my thought is that the grandpa knew everything going on with Doru and no one did anything about it. So you get to see like how the older generation just was like, well, he's a good warrior, so we're just going to let that go. But this new generation was like, no, you gotta go.
I feel like that's kind of indicative too of real life and like how the generations, like the characteristics of the generations, similar.
Yeah, he's very annoying, but I liked having him in there because it does show those differences. And like he for sure knew what Doru was doing. Like he already admitted he knew about the pictures in the desk, so of course he's gonna know about what's going on. Yeah,
he was like, "Oh, he saw it, but did he do it to you? No,
right?
He's still a good weatherman, right? So like, what's the problem?" And it's like,
he wasn't a good weatherman though, Granddad. Like, what the hell? And then you gave him Jade. What the hell? You know?
Yeah, that. Oh my gosh. He also served to like make Hilo a more empathetic character, at least to me, because I didn't like him at all, but because I could see like how poorly he was treated his whole life, it made me feel a little bit bad for him.
Right, because that's really the only, besides Lon, who loves him unconditionally, of course, but like that was the great leader. You know what I mean? Like he went through this whole entire war and like split the clans, made the whole entire clan, and he every chance he get is like cutting Hilo down, you know, and he's like essentially the father figure. So yeah, that sucks. I didn't like that.
I think the granddad was a very realistic portrayal of someone with dementia though, like, or like someone that you like really care for that is just can't get it.
Doesn't get it.
Yeah, so
I
I
agree with
really,
that.
it was sad. It was, I don't know, very sad characters in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about this series that I think, because y'all probably know, I've said it a million times, I'm a character-driven reader. So for me, I think even just in this first book, you could already tell that Fonda Lee is really good at character work, because even someone like Barrow, who is the cockroach of the world, is a very complex and compelling character in some way. And even Hilo, someone that I didn't really like in the beginning, at points in the book, you could be like, just like Jess said, empathetic towards him because of his upbringing. And so the fact that Fonda Lee like really pulled the curtain back and showed you these intricacies within their family and why maybe Hilo is the way that he is and why Andon is so insecure about his position, not only in the clan, but the fact that he's mixed blood and throughout his entire life has been treated a specific type of way. And you get to see those things in this first book. And I think it really pays off in the rest of the series as well, because you feel very close to the characters. And I think that was my experience with it, is I've never felt closer to a group of characters than in this series. So the plot, I can't speak to whether it was super exciting or not, because I'm not like the biggest plot driven reader. It's exciting and it has twists and turns, and I really love the politics, but like the core of this story, this series, is about the family. And so if you don't like any of them and you're not rooting for them, then you're not really going to like the series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I did enjoy the politics. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I like those kind of plots where we have a lot going on. And I liked that towards the end of this book, we get a glimpse into like the other countries and kind of like, obviously Wynn goes on that whole trip with the Jade, and you're kind of like, okay, well, what's going on with that? You know, like what's going on there? We left it. She's back home now. What's happening? Where'd that scene go? You know? So obviously we're going to get more of that in the next couple of books, I'm hoping. But yeah, it paves the way to kind of, like Stephanie said, like open up the world and open up the plot. But yeah, I definitely really liked all the settings in this book too. I think you kind of mentioned that a little bit, Rachel, when you're talking about the mine. But like, I liked honestly everywhere they were talking about, even the squid shop with Mr. Une or Uche.
Oh, I love that place too. Like where the fight breaks out.
Yeah,
at the beginning.
Loved it. You know what I mean?
Like, easily, like. I'm sorry, put me in a director's chair. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to see this thing actually come alive on the screen. It's
Leo so is coming through.
I already have a fan cast. Let's do this.
I love it. Yeah. So yeah, even the settings I think were done really well and descriptive in a way. Like sometimes you can read this high fantasy and you get so much setting description that you're like, okay, bro, I don't need to know how green the blades of grass are. You know what I'm saying?
You could just say it. It's okay. You
can say what?
You can just say Lord of the Rings. You can just say it. It's okay.
Yeah, man.
We don't need to run up this hill 5-pager. You know what I'm saying?
30 pages of how green the hills are, and then how many hobbits are singing about how green the hills are for 30 pages.
Yeah, and that's all in the introduction, you know? That's not even into the actual chapters of the book. So yeah, I think it was a really good mix of all things, like character, plot, setting, and I'm sure other things that I can't think of right now. I think I gave this book 2 stars. I don't really care about the characters much. Okay, so going back to what you said, right? If you don't care about the characters, probably won't care too much about the book. And I only really liked Lon. Then he died. I was done with the book after that. Okay, relatable though, right? I feel like, obviously, Nicole, you haven't gotten here yet, but like, I feel like after that moment, I was like, he had to go out like this.
I distinctly remember that moment when reading it. I read this almost 2 years ago. So I like was listening to it while cleaning my bathroom. Distinctly remember this. It happened. I dropped everything. And I was like, I had to pause it. Like, I was like, this can't be real. Yeah. It was a devastating moment.
But it was honestly like such a good character arc for him too. Like obviously it's not fun. It wasn't a fun arc, but like Lon starts out as like the top dog. Like he's a strong, resilient, you know, like kind of quiet leader. And then by the end of it, he's, you know,
yeah, that was a great character.
Like I'm really impressed with the character arcs in this book, just in this one book.
I was like, well, dang.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. So
it was 5 stars at that point. I was like, okay.
Like obviously no one wants to see that, but like, you know, we thrive in chaos apparently. Grandpa worked my nerves. Y'all, when I found out he gave Jade to Doru, I said, you're wrong for that, Grandpa. And honestly, if you weren't my grandpa, you would have been murdered right here, but you're my grandpa.
On the spot.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be nice to you. And I think there is that moment where Hilo's like, Grandpa! And it's just really like Hilo, get it together. But yeah, so my dad has to mention it hit hard because it's very similar to my experience. It's very hard to live through. Yeah. So I think obviously we have some good representation in there of how frustrating it is how frustrating it can be for your family members, but also like think about the actual person going through that and not like recognizing. And it really does suck because not to give him, you know, more empathy or whatever, but the grandpa lost his wife, he lost his bestie, his other Fantaseries was long, then, you know, Doru. So it is what it is. He loves that Scarface character.
Oh, also, I feel like we haven't brought her up yet. I think, isn't her name Ait? Like the head of the pillar of the mountain?
Ait Mada. Yeah.
Ait. Yeah.
Mada. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how I'm saying it.
Yes.
Thoughts on her? Thoughts in general?
I can't give you my thoughts on her.
I don't really have that many thoughts. I feel like she's gonna be more in the later books, but I was like, for half the book, I was like, oh, she's gonna be the other sibling.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought too.
Okay, they're half siblings. Like someone, you know, left, and she, you know, but then
I was adopted.
Doesn't make any sense.
That's the thing. Is like I know it's like it's not necessarily true in real life, but I feel like in fiction, every time there's like 2 characters that are mentioned to both be adopted, I'm like, what if?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why that mountain theory would work, where like he goes to the mountain, she's like, I'm your sister. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you truly never know. But I think for her character arc, she was just interesting because in the beginning you hear all this horrible stuff about her, right? She killed her brother. She freaking killed all the closest advisors her dad had. And she ascended the throne, essentially, or ascended the clan leadership. And,
which, like, girl boss, great job.
Yeah, girl boss. And then when Andon meets her, he even says, like, I thought she was going to be, like, some, like, sexy kind of, like, you know, lady in charge. Or she was going to be, like, super brutish and kind of like a man's girl, you know? And he was like, no, she's just some chill 40-year-old, just, like, sitting in her chair, reading her book.
I hate the whole, like, we thought she was going to be sexy, and it's going to be, like, a Cassie Clare moment of, like, my sister?
Oh, my God.
Well, yeah. Some respect on Fonda Lee's name.
So I like that. And the fact that later on it comes out, obviously, that her dad was not going to name her as an heir, even though she's the oldest, most capable one. Like, obviously, why wouldn't she? But it's just because she's a woman. And so she said, all right, you want to play this game? What if I acted like a man? Yeah, she's killed everybody.
About to end your entire career right now.
Yeah.
I am feminism.
Yeah, hashtag I will get it done, okay? So, like, I don't like, I mean, I know she's not, like, likable, but I'm not, like, disliking her.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like,
yeah
I think she's a badass.
Yeah, like, and I think it's important that she came to Shay and said, look, I did not order your brother to be murdered.
Yeah, like, none of that was me.
Yeah. And I think there was, like, a moment of almost, like, respect there, because she's, like, I mean, she's not saying sorry, and she's not, like, paying her respects, but, like, she is.
There was no need for me to do this, because I already have it on lock.
Right, yeah.
She was like,
if I was going to kill her, I would have done it like that.
Because I'm already in control.
Right.
Like,
I
okay,
think
I
I-
get it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I and Shay have an interesting dynamic and like the way that they interact with each other, even through this book. I'm not going to say much about Ike, but I think she's a badass.
Yeah.
As does.
What?
many others.
Oh,
I'm excited to see more of her in the next
Yeah.
book.
I think so. You know, it's just interesting. It goes back to also the argument of like, okay, so if she was a man, would anybody be saying that she did too much? You know what I mean?
No, they wouldn't, because
Right.
no one treats women the same as men.
Right.
This
And
is-
she
this
she
is
says
Just
that,
like
you
that
know?
Taylor Swift song. This is just like that Taylor Swift song. Jess, back me up. The man.
Oh my god.
It's like,
How
Yes.
is this possible?
anyway, yeah.
I
So
can't. I have nothing
yeah,
to add to this discourse with Taylor Swift. Metaphor.
tell them, you know, tell them. So yeah, anyway, I think, yeah.
Oh, how do we like the interludes? I really enjoyed them.
Oh, the kind of like story, like the lore stories.
Like like theology and like the stuff that made up the world. Anyway, yeah.
I just remember you reading out that one out loud, the one where it was like I'm like paraphrasing, but it's like every time, you know, the family is not together, they basically strive to have like family peace or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I think with that, Stephanie said this on a live before, but like sometimes when they have that kind of stuff in there, sometimes I don't understand it in the moment. So I have to like read the book again, or like I skip over it a little bit because I'm just like, all right, this is frou. What do I do with this?
Well,
But-
it helps you like get prepared for what to come.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
I just
Got
wanted to also, like, super quick before we end the show or anything, I just wanted to also double check if anyone in the Discord had anything fun to mention throughout their reads of it, because as a reminder, we are a book club with a Discord, so if you haven't joined it yet, join it. But we like to look at your comments and see what everybody's thinking, how they feel as they go
I
through it.
know a lot of people when they first started were like, this is so slow. And like we said,
Yes.
like, yeah, it is.
It
But
took me 4 months to start in January.
yeah. But also like realizing with high fantasy, anything is going to start off pretty slow because you've got to build the world.
Yeah, I think
And-
there's so much building that has to be done in the very beginning that it's very hard to feel immediately invested
right.
without any of that relation to all of the characters yet and how it all operates. But I also feel like Fonda Lee did a pretty good job in my mind of setting it up without being like, okay, here's like a list of everything, and then
Right.
here's more, and then here's another. But like it was all integrated pretty well. That over time, over the course of a couple chapters, I was like, okay, I kind of think I know how it works. And by like a third of the way through the book, I was like, okay, I'm pretty confident I know how all of this works now. But
Yeah.
it was never like
Yeah.
spelled out for me. It's just implied, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the only kind of confusing part to me at first was the fact that there were 2 clans, but they all had the same positions and stuff. So,
Mhm.
yeah. But then obviously that got cleared up pretty quickly. So, yeah. Does anybody have a favorite part? Like a favorite scene in the whole entire thing?
Land's farewell.
Land's farewell. That was your favorite scene?
It was the
Most impactful?
Wait, like the fight?
no, just his ending.
Why was it your
Ending?
favorite?
It was very powerful because I was like, I don't know, I could just connect with it, you know.
I actually agree with Mo, but further, it's because the aftermath. I think that always gets me in books is like when a big character or like a pivotal character to the other characters dies, even if they're not your favorite or whatever, to see the aftermath and how people react to it and like what is to come for those characters is really impactful for me.
Yes.
Well said. Perfectly what I meant.
I think my favorite scene is when Wen goes to the other country and dumps all the jade out.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, and they're like, she's not an Aborigine.
You're
Who
like,
is
"No."
this? Yeah. And she's like, "Ooh, I'm a witch." Just kidding.
I just like seeing her like take control of her
destiny
being and like what she wanted to do, and I liked her and Shade, like their first initial like conversation too, and them connecting and like understanding each other better. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, because Shay at first is like, I never really thought about you, you know, like you're stone
Mostly
eyed.
because Hilo doesn't think much of her.
He doesn't give her a lot of credit, and that's probably one of his mistakes, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're gonna really work it out, you know. I really can't wait to see the Shay Hilo duo coming.
Yeah, you know, because there's so much of this, it's gonna end up being a real nice arc.
It's gonna be great. They always fought each other. They're both capable. I'm ready to see the growth.
One of my favorite parts was like when Andon was talking about Lot. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he's like, I'm not sure if he's gay, but like I keep getting these vibes, and I'm like, I think he likes me, but then he's like mean 2 seconds later. So I'm like, I know I'm gay, but like,
is he?
You know? And it was interesting in that moment to kind of see how Fonda Lee explains queerness, because she's like, it's not like illegal or anything, but it's kind of like how people see stone eyes. You know, it's just like a natural thing that happens, but it's not necessarily like celebrated or anything. And I thought that was a really interesting component. Character. Not only does he have insecurity about being adopting one of the strongest people, being mixed, you know, all this kind of stuff, but he's also really insecure about queerness, his queerness. And I really want to know about Lot. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm sure he's gonna be a big deal.
I hope so. I'm shipping it. Okay, I don't know if he's evil or not, but I'm shipping it.
This is truly your second hate to love romance of the year to
it is
in this Fantaseries book club.
Really is. I don't know what it is.
Always comes back to the freaking Cruel Prince every time.
Also, I didn't quite get my dessert with the Poppy War trilogy. You know what I mean? Like I was like, so I found a new couple to be obsessed with.
I don't know if this is.
I love hearing all of your theories about where the book is going.
Did you have similar theories when you read it the first time?
Yes and no. I think this is not speaking to the rest of the book, so this is not a spoiler. I was not suspicious of Wynn when I read her in the first book. So I think it's funny like how y'all are like attached to this idea that she's gonna turn on them or something. Because I didn't have that. But I don't know if that's because I was like so shocked by Lon dying. Like it really I wasn't expecting it. Because I hadn't read many, like I read a lot of fantasy, but you don't read, I'm sure y'all can relate, you don't read a lot of fantasy where like pivotal characters in the first book just done.
Okay, that's also a huge shock for me because I knew that you loved Lon. So I was like, all right, cool. So he's going to be in the books for a long time. And then he died. And I was like, what the fuck? Why would you for someone who's only been alive for like a fourth of the book or something? I don't even know when he died. But like at some point, I was like, he's not even there at page like 400. Like, I don't understand why. What?
I mean,
because he's such a good character. Like, God,
it's not only that he's a good character when he's alive. You have to remember that, like, he still is an ever looming presence in this family. Like, all Hilo ever talks about is his brother and their relationship and how it impacted him and what Lon would do. And I think you get to know Lon even more because of Hilo specifically, but even Shay and Andon, like. He will always be a presence even though he's dead. So that's why I love him.
Also, it was interesting that Hilo was having that moment in his brain where he was like having Lon talk. You know what I mean? He was kind of like, he's like, wait a minute. Okay, he's not here though. And I'm like, are you going a little kooky? Like, what's going on with you, Hilo? So.
As long as this gets nowhere near Alton territory, it's fine. Because, like, y'all know what happened at the end of the Poppy War is like the whole rest of the Dragon Republic and Burning God. Alton was on every page of every book. That's all I'm gonna say.
He was just like talked about a lot.
That's all. It's. I'm not spoiling it, but like they just would not stop talking about him all the time.
It's a cult obsession. Literally, and some people have it.
I mean, I do. An obsession. Sorry, go on.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to say that I personally did not have any suspicions of Wen either.
Okay, thank you. I was like, am I like, did I just totally, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I was like cheering her on.
Yeah,
So interesting. Like, I can't wait to see where this goes. Like, I wasn't suspicious that she's going to turn on them. I feel like it would be strange for them to turn on the Cole family because they have such a bad reputation, and the Cole family is like single-handedly like bringing them back up into being like prominent members of society. And like her brothers seem to be so loyal to Hilo. I could see there being some kind of like conflict because the one brother maybe isn't the most satisfactory horn to Hilo.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something will happen there, but like first impressions, I was not suspicious of her.
Also, I don't know if I like think she's gonna be a traitor. Like, I don't know if I'm on that track, but I think just like in her interactions with Hilo, I think she could go anywhere. I think that's where I'm at. Like, I don't know if she.
I just feel like the type of person she is wouldn't be satisfied simply as the wife of the pillar. And so that's why she inserted herself as like, let me do some work around here. And then by putting her foot in the door in that way, it's like, well, let me do some more complicated, difficult work around here and infiltrate, like not even really infiltrate, but like travel to the other side and whatnot.
I think my thought
I don't feel like someone does that and then goes home and then does nothing. That's all I'm saying.
I think my thought process on that was similar to Jess, but also the fact that like you may be right that she's not satisfied as just a wife, but I think like one of the things that Fonda Lee sets up really well is that Stone Eyes are thought to be kind of useless, and like, you know, why do they? So for her, I don't think it's like a, and this is again not a spoiler. My thought process at the time was, well, maybe her wanting to so adamantly be useful is coming from a place of like she doesn't want to be perceived as just a useless wife to Hilo that he married, and like what political gain did that give him? Because that is something that is important in the clans, is like marrying for political gain. And Hilo married for love. Like he loves Wen, even though he's not the greatest to her, in my opinion. That's my opinion. She, to me, in those moments, I think wanted to prove herself so that people could understand why he chose her, not necessarily because she wants to turn on them or do something vindictive.
She wants to prove herself.
I mean, there's still a huge benefit also, which I think is, if it's being neglected, is just like, I don't know why you would. But as a Stone Eye, you can carry a bunch of jade and not have it affect you. So I don't know why they wouldn't be using her in the ways that they do at the point where they say transport all this jade. I mean, that seems like an obvious thing to do. And the fact that she was like, let me do this, and nobody else has thought to do it before, I think is because she's still in the coveted position of wife of the pillar. So we wouldn't want to put her in danger. Yeah. But by saying like, I'm not, I mean, I can see it going either way, I think. But by saying like, I'm not just a pretty like trophy wife to keep at home, but like I have use for the clan, could either be, like you're saying, trying to prove herself because of the reputation that she has as a Stone Eye, or it could be saying, well, I'm proving myself up to the point that like this is what I want, not because I want to be useful to Hilo, but because I have other things to prove, or other people maybe that I'm loyal to for some reason. So it even could be a mix of both of them in some way. And like I don't see the logic yet of who Wen would be working for, or if she's only working for herself, what she's aiming to achieve. But it does seem just, I'm getting the vibe like there's something suspicious. I'm not taking it at face value. I think there's something more going on.
At this point, I'm going to say I think she's just trying to be an independent woman. Because Hilo is like a force, and he crushes her a lot. Not on purpose, but like he holds her back.
Yeah, he's very protective.
Yeah, because he thinks that she's useless. And like for good reason. Like if people are around Jan Loon, like they're going to notice her. Like they'll know she's part of the clan. So like obviously she has to work outside of that network.
Yeah.
But the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and this, I'm very interested to see what you guys think about this. So Lon gets a letter from his ex-wife, and he doesn't open it. He doesn't read it.
Yeah.
What do we think about that, guys?
It's gonna be very.
Because I definitely zoned in on that. I was like, shoo, shoo, shoo. What's on the letter? Hello?
I was waiting for that also.
I'm sure Hilo will find it, and I can't wait to see.
Yeah, it's tucked into the desk that Hilo doesn't like to use. So when will Hilo find that letter, you know?
Next book. We've got plenty of plots to get to.
In my like crazy world, I would love for her to be like, I'm pregnant with your baby. Come let me come back, or whatever. Like, I don't know, because I'm not sure how long they haven't been together. Like I'm not sure if that's clear. So in my brain, I was like, bro, if we have an heir to the throne. And I just think it was so interesting because at the end of this book, Hilo's kind of like, there's no one else that can take this role. Like, I didn't want it, but like I had to step up because everyone else is not ready. Like, I'm not ready, Hilla not ready, but like everyone else is so not ready. You know what I mean? And
But
no
I
one's
feel
gonna
like-
accept Shay because she's too young and she's a woman.
I feel like if
So-
an heir came into play, first of all, they'd be way younger than everybody else, and they might have like rightful ownership to being like more pillar adjacent than somebody else. But I know for a fact they would be like the most annoying character. I would hate them right out of the gate, and I'd be like, go away. Like, you obviously are here to disrupt the family. Leave. You can get adopted as a cousin, like Andon or something, but like you are not the pillar.
I don't think it'll be. I think it'll be like time jump or anything. I don't think like we're gonna time jump and the heir will be like ready to rule. Like, I just think it would be interesting. I mean, unless there is a time
Oh, no,
jump, I don't know.
If you're saying like I have a baby, it would be more like I had a secret baby 10 years ago or like 20 years ago, and they came back, and like it's your. That's why it would be like they would still be like roughly the same age as the other people here, but younger, that are here to rule, and they'd be like, I can rule, I'm 18, and it'd be like, no, like it's
Oh,
not.
hell
Sorry,
no. Yeah,
sorry,
no,
not to-
there's no way. No, I was thinking more. Huh?
Wait, what's that?
Their relationship only ended like 3 or 4 years
Oh, okay.
prior
I was
to
like-
this. So,
Oh,
just,
okay,
by the way, it
But
says that in the
still-
first book.
okay.
But still, she could have been prego with
Possibly.
Lance baby.
Yeah.
12 years
not
ago.
if she was, I guess not if she had a affair. But who knows? I don't know. I'm just interested to see. That was one of my theories. But what do you guys think is in this letter?
Drama.
Obviously.
Tea. Just tea bags. I have no idea.
I don't. No theory.
I have no theory. I just know it's gonna be great to see it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
gonna
like
be
whatever it is, it's
when
gonna
we
be
opened this
something
earlier.
out of left field that like Fonda Lee is just gonna drop on us, and it's gonna like probably be something that was either hinted to or it will happen close enough to the beginning of one of these books that will be like, okay, you just like threw a whole wrench into everybody's plans with this new information from this
Yeah.
letter that we would have loved to have known at the beginning of book 1, but because we didn't open it until now, all hope is lost or something. Like
Maybe she's
I'm
getting
wanting.
married to someone
She's
else.
getting married to Ite? To who?
No, like maybe someone else, but she still has. Maybe she does have a baby, but she's getting married to like the king or something.
I like the effort. I like it. Yeah.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah,
I like it. Cause like what else could it be? Like it's either like a secret baby, I'm getting married and I wanna like, you know,
Live my life.
yeah,
like
live
that.
my life, but also like I care about you still. So
This is the
Or
baby.
it's like, let's get back together.
let's get back together. Or 4 wild card, something about the country and the clan. So like I've got news and I need to share it with you, but I can only share it with you because you're the clan leader. So
I
like
think it's-
contact me at this address.
Or like calling card, I'm gonna kill you. Okay, wait, like who knows?
I think it's number 4.
Yeah.
Number 4?
I think
Like,
it's
I know
some kind of
something-
secret, like political
Right.
war-related information.
Which would make sense because she's out of, you know, the city. Like
Mhm.
she's out into the
Yeah.
world. And since, you know, we know that this kind of plot goes a little bit larger every book, I think it would.
Or maybe
lean
she
more
has
in
some
that
like
direction.
insider knowledge on somebody betraying them, the family, or like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can y'all please just read it? Like, sorry.
I was like, actually, it's number 6, none of the above.
You're all
Steph is
wrong.
like
But it's
about
never
to burst.
spoken.
Where it's like,
There we go. Oh yeah, or the letter isn't open until the very last page of book 3, and then we're all like, well,
Great.
shite. But yeah. Hello, how's it going? My favorite moment was Andy and Hilo's battle with Gaunt. I mean, boy got slayed. But then Hilo acted like a bitch when Andy wanted to take breath and walk away. Yes. All the above. Check. Check, check, check. Where mental health stands here. I mean, he's just a kid and got flooded with jade power and brought on the itches. Ew. That killed his mother. Was worried that it would kill Lon and him. Hilo needs to learn a lot to be Pillar. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was one thing that really stressed me out when they drugged up Andon against his permission.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, he believes that the shine is what killed Lon, and then they injected
give
him.
him shine.
Oh
It's
my
like-
god, poor Andon.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't do him. They didn't.
And
do
then
him
Hilo was just like, "Oh, it's fine. Like, you can just be on it." It's like, what?
I know.
What
It's
is
like,
wrong
what
with
He's
you-
not the smartest guy around. But also, I do feel like that comes from a place of like Hilo having to do what he has to do, and so in his brain, he's like, "Well, Andon's got to do what he's got to do." So like, not trying to like give him a free pass because obviously you need to be a little more woke,
But
bro.
I
But
think
I agree that's where it comes from, and I
think
just
that's
Hilo
exactly
suffers
it.
from a lack of empathy.
I think
And
Yeah, 'cause
understanding
it's
of other
like-
people.
It's like when you go through trauma but you've never processed it, and then you see someone else go through trauma and you're like, well, I got through it, so why
Yeah.
don't you get through it? And it's like, well, okay, but
let's
But
all
you
be
didn't
thoughtful.
turn out so great, Hilo. So
Yeah.
We're also
Maybe it is.
vastly different people. God.
also,
Yeah, it's
like sort of
like,
off topic, but oh, sorry, go ahead.
as I think that's why Fonda Lee makes a point that you
Cover
can't.
your mouth. I can't.
They can't hear me.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I think that's why Fonda Lee makes a point that she can't feel the jade anymore. He like brings it up a lot.
Oh, Hilo, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's like important. It's like especially since those two are so close, and that he feels all the jade, and then he doesn't. I think it's very important.
Yeah, it's interesting because at what point do you like have so much jade
Yeah,
that like
You're
you're
not
not feeling it, but it's also deteriorating you? You
Yeah.
know, that's what
Yeah.
I was thinking with him.
I was like, this is also a warning sign. I was like, we need
Because
to
I mean, the jade itself is almost like a drug where like you need more and more to be more effective, and the more that you
Yeah.
have on you at all times, the less it affects you at all. You have this
Right.
tolerance to it, but it's not good for you. But because of the way, and I thought this was so interesting, because of the way that the clans work, it's like you don't take your jade off. Really, like you're supposed to wear it, and then when you kill someone, you take theirs as a sign of power. But like you never get a rest from it, really. And because you're never sure, like, can I trust who's like behind my back? It's like, well, I wear my jade all the time. I put the jade into like my earrings or into like my like collar or something. Like it's literally like a part of your body at this point because you're so I don't know, so integrated into the family and the clan life or something that it's just it's a part of you. Like you can't escape from this level of like being in this group. And it takes over your whole life. But separate from that, I wanted to quickly bring up because you had mentioned a letter, and I thought you were also going to talk about this other letter that Doru sent Shay
Oh yeah.
near the end because he mentions have a plan. Well, so he says, consider this a sincere warning from your caring uncle. Have a plan to escape Kikon quickly and on your own. Store away some money. Use your Asperian connection so no one in the clan knows. A good weatherman is always reading the clouds.
Yeah, he's been scheming for a while. And I love that she also ends that by saying, you can say this all you want, Doru, but I'm coming for your ass. So
Yeah, she's like, I'm not running, and I'm coming for you.
yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for Shay to like level up. You know, like she sees her friend over here at the mountain, the pillar of the mountain. She's like, I could be like her. I could do it. I'm ready for Shay to do it. Like, bot, girl, get your jade and go kill this man. It will make me happy in a non-psychopathic way. So
yeah, Doro gives me the heebie-jeebies.
he's horrible. Like that freaking the picture scene. I was like, you are gross. Go away.
Mhm.
But you know, things we should have done. Murdered Doru.
Truly.
Truly. It is what it is. Yeah. So anyway, okay. Any last comments, concerns, poetry that we want to share about Jade City?
No, I just want to say thanks for letting me be a part of this conversation.
Of course.
You were a valued member of this live show, so thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I think I do want to ask Jess, does this change your opinion at all of your rating?
No.
She's already shaking her head no.
Oh wait, no, that's what I wanted to ask you. What was it that you felt like made it a 2-star for you?
I thought it was just slow. I didn't really love the characters that much. And I just kind of found the politics stuff to be tedious. And I don't know, I just didn't connect with it. Like I said, I think it was more me. Like, I think it was a very well-written book, and I agree that it had, like, good world building and good character development and things, but I just wasn't the book for me.
Yeah, I'm curious how you feel about the next ones, because the politics, I feel like, get more intricate.
Yeah, and the way you're saying, like, the world expands, that does not bode well for me either, so I'm kind of...
I wonder if you'll start liking some of the characters more, because I think that some of the characters start to stand out in a way that's, like, really interesting, and maybe you'll connect to them a little bit more. But, like, everything you're saying, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, and you said the part with Wynn was one of your favorite parts, so...
Yeah, and she doesn't really come into her own until the end of the book, so if she keeps being a character, and I did like Shay, and if we do get an Andon and what's-his-name romance, that will keep me entertained, so I'm not holding a hope, but, you know.
So excited. Oh my god, okay. You guys know how crazy I am, so I'm shipping that hate to love. I'm shipping it. Anyway, yeah. Anyone else? No?
No.
I can't wait for you to finish, Nicole.
I know.
I'm really excited to finish too.
Yeah, you have to let us know what you rated it at the end.
I'll post my thoughts in the group chat.
Yes, please do. All right, cool. Well, guys, this is going to be the end of the live show. So
as a reminder, join the Discord, because we're going to open up the Jade War channels very soon so that everybody can come and talk about their feelings. Hello, Sharon.
Sure.
Want to say hello? Lift your little head.
He says, "Mom, believe me."
Oh, there he is.
He just wants to sit in my lap. Anyway, yeah. So, like Rachel said, join the Discord if you guys want to chit chat. In that chat, also we post important updates and things about the live shows. And for our next book for Jade War, we're currently reading that this month. So the live show will be sometime in July. It will still be on my channel. And yeah, that will be to be decided once we get through the month of June. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And as always, if you aren't subscribed to everybody here, please go ahead and click the subscribe button on their channels down below and do me a personal favor and watch their most recent video and leave a kind comment, something that you really liked about it, even if you really hated it. You know what I'm saying? Just like do that favor for me personally. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. So thank you guys so much for joining us today, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.